Solve and graph an AND compound inequality. So here we have the inequality -1 is less than or equal to x plus 3 less than 7. So our first step here is to separate the inequality into a compound inequality using the AND operator. So we'll write it as -1 is less than or equal to x plus 3 and x plus 3 is less than 7. So we have two inequalities connected using an AND operator. So now we're going to solve each one, and by isolating the variable. On the left side, we'll subtract 3 from both sides of the inequality, and that leaves us with -4 is less than or equal to x. And on the right side, we're going to subtract 3 from both sides of the inequality, leaving us with x is less than 4. So what is our solution set? It is all x such that -4 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 4. Alright, so we have our solution set, and now how do we graph that? Well, let me get a pencil, and we're just going to start by graphing this inequality here. And I feel more comfortable graphing this when I have the variable on the left side of the inequality. So I'm going to say or x is greater than or equal to -4. Alright. So graphing this inequality, we're going to go to -4. And we're going to put a closed circle, and our arrow is pointing to the right. Now with the inequality x is less than 4, we're going to go to 4, and we're going to use an open circle, and our arrow is moving to the left. So when we have an AND, what it is where this inequality is true and this inequality is true. Right? So for values to the left of -4, our first inequality is not true. And for values from 4 on to the right, our second inequality is not true. So what is the union? AND is when both the inequalities are true, which would be here, this section in between, and that's it, not including 4. Right. So we're going to do an open circle on 4. And here is the graph of -1 is less than or equal to x plus 3 less than 7. Let's go ahead and move on to number 2, and we'll go through the same process. We're going to start by separating the inequality into two inequalities. -3 is less than -1 minus 2x, and -1 minus 2x is less than or equal to 5. Let's solve both inequalities. So we'll do that by adding 1 to both sides of the inequality, and we'll get -2 is less than -2x. We're going to divide both sides of this inequality by -2. And you need to remember, when we divide an inequality by a negative number, the sign switches. So it's going to be 1 is greater than x. On the right side of the page, we are going to add 1 to both sides, and we'll get negative 2x is less than or equal to 6. Now we're going to divide by negative 2, and you need to remember that the inequality sign is going to switch, so we are left with x is greater than or equal to negative 3. So what is our solution set? Our solution set is all x such that negative 3 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 1. Now how did I get that? Well, we want to go ahead and write OR here on this inequality, and it's going to be OR negative 3 is less than or equal to x. And on this one as well, we're going to say OR x is less than 1. So we start with what x is less than. What is less than x? So that's negative 3 is less than or equal to x. And then here 1 is greater than x. So we'll put that on the right side of the solution set. Alright, so now that we have our solution set, we want to go over here and graph it. So I'm going to get out my pencil, and I have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. And let's go ahead and graph the first one here. X is less than 1. Less than. So I'm going to go to 1, and I'm going to have an open circle, and my arrow is pointing this way. On my other inequality, I have x is greater than or equal to negative 3. So I go to negative 3. I use a closed circle, and my arrow is pointing to the right, that way. Now, what is the graph? The graph is an AND, so it's where both of these inequalities are true. Both inequalities are true here on negative 3. In between negative 3 and 1, not including 1. So we have an open circle on 1.